I wanted to provide a recorded explanation of your next major project, which is the field experience project. And it's the format will be very similar to the educational profile project, but it just takes a little different spin. Okay, so we're changing topics a little bit. Pardon my cat; she's being very needy right now. So it is part of the Michigan Department of Education requirement. And so I want to make sure that you're very clear on what the expectations are before you get started. So the purpose of the project is to explore educational settings beyond traditional K-12 schools. And the reason that's important is because the state of Michigan requires education preparation programs to make sure that at least one course in the educator preparation program provides an exploration of all of the different types of school settings that are available to future educators. So that's what this project is designed to do. And again, if we were a smaller institution, we might be able to actually go visit some of these locations, but in these types of schools, but we aren't. So this is how this was the best way that we could think of to introduce you to all these different types of schools, and also in a more collaborative type situation, because that's why you're in small groups, so you can kind of talk about it. And so it's part of your 10 exploratory clinical experience hours. So while you're not out really visiting these schools, you're going to spend at least 10 hours researching these different types of schools and then presenting your findings to your group members. Okay, so it's a really important project. The educational profile project and this field experience project are what help you meet these 10 exploratory clinical experience hours. So it's really important that you complete both of these projects and that you take the time to create a really, professional, polished, and meaningful project. So let's dig into what is required. So again, this project matters because it's required by MDE, but it's also helps you build an understanding of all of the different types of schools that are available and kind of helps prepare you to serve diverse student populations. So, you might be thinking that you want to teach in a preschool setting, and maybe you were just planning like a traditional preschool setting, or maybe you currently work in a GSRP, a Great Start Readiness Program, but you start researching one of the schools for this project and think, oh, wow, that could be someplace that I could see myself teaching. So that's why this is important. So I'm not going to give you a complete overview of all the types of schools that are available. Just know that there are more than what is on this screen or on this slide. So you could you could do research on private schools, particular charter schools. There are particular magnet schools in the state of Michigan, boarding schools, Montessori schools. You could look at religious or parochial schools, online schools. There's vocational and alternative schools. There are what are called center-based schools for students with disabilities, and those serve students from preschool all the way through age 26 in the state of Michigan. So that's also something you want to consider. You would like, what the requirement is for you to think about the type of school you're interested in researching, and then you're going to have to find an example of that particular type of school in Michigan. Okay, so just know that you're going to explore a particular type of school in the state of Michigan. So overall, there's different types of schools, and they take different approaches to learning. So imagine that like maybe a K-3 building, so a kindergarten through third grade building in a brick and mortar school is going to be very different than a PK3 school that's offered primarily online. Okay, so it's really important to think about these different formats or structures of schooling and what their intention is and the types of students that usually benefit from that type of school. That's kind of the purpose of this project. So one of the things that I would do is I'm not promoting the use of AI. At least I try really hard not to use AI in frivolous ways, but I really am thoughtful about when I use AI. And this is a really good example of a time where using AI would be beneficial for you. So you could go to ChatGPT. I use Perplexity. Some people use Claude. You could use, there's many different kinds, and I'm sure you're aware of some of them, but um, you can type into the website or into the AI a question about like what are all of the different types of schools that are available for preschool through 12th grade students in the state of Michigan. And it should generate a pretty extensive list. So I did that myself and I used Perplexity. The prompt I used was, I'm interested in learning about all of the different types of schools that are available to preschool through 12th grade students. And it generated a list of the different types of schools. So it did public charter schools, magnet schools, alternative public schools, public virtual or online schools, religious schools. And then it went further and said Montessori schools, Waldorf schools, Reggio Emilia. So you can use AI to help you kind of generate a list of the different types of schools that are available so that you can think about which ones you want to really learn more about. Okay, so there's different types of charter schools. So in the state of Michigan, we have a lot of charter schools, and some of them have a particular focus. Like there might be Spanish immersion schools. There could be STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and math. Or there's even some now that involve the fine arts, or STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So once you choose the type of school that you're really interested in, you're going to actually research it a little more specifically and find out like a subtype. So charter schools just in general, that's really broad. Magnet schools is a really broad type of school. You're going to want to research a particular type of magnet school. Okay, so these types that I have here on the slide are just really general categories, and there's going to be subcategories for each of them, and that's your job to do research on. So the project requirements are that you're going to work with the same group as the educational profile project, but I've noticed that there's been some difficulty with using WebEx to present your projects. And so I want to make this easier for you. I do not want this to be more challenging. So I think what I am going to do is create a Padlet for each group. And you're going to record yourself presenting your presentation, and you're going to upload it to that Padlet. And that way each of your group members can watch your presentation and provide feedback directly on the Padlet, like we have been for some of the case studies. So I think that will help kind of maybe alleviate some of your stress about trying to find a time to meet, or trying to, record it, which was posing an issue for some people. And the one thing I'll say is, if you already have a time scheduled to meet for this second presentation, you could keep that time and just touch base with one another about how you're doing, and maybe even share your progress on it, and not use that as a project requirement. So I do just think that that'll be a better option moving forward. So, and I'll tell you more about that later as we get closer to the time when you would actually present. Okay, so you're going to choose the type of school, and there's no repeats in the group. So much like the educational profile project, you're basically doing some research for your group members to learn more about a school that's different from what they are familiar with. So you don't want any repeats in the group. So if you're going to do, let's say one group member wants to do a charter school that has a STEM focus, then another group member could do a charter school with a fine arts focus, or a liberal arts focus, or even a, literal art, visual arts focus, or Chinese immersion school. So you can do a charter school. Make sure that you're not duplicating the type of charter school. Okay. So it's what's better even though is having all different types of schools. So maybe one person in your group does a residential school, another student does an alternative high school or alternative type of school, or a center-based special education school. So I want you to be really thoughtful that there's not any repeats in your group. Okay. Then once you determine what type of school you are going to report on, you're going to actually find one of those schools in the state of Michigan. And that's where you're going to do a deeper level of research. You're actually going to dig into that school. You're going to go to that school's website. You're going to, look around that website. You're going to look at the kinds of curriculum they provide, how many teachers are there, and look at the staff and really evaluate the staff. How many staff members are women? How many are men? How many are people of color? So how many classrooms are offered? How many different classrooms are offered? So maybe there's 3 of each grade level. So you're really going to dig into it. You're going to look at the school's diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging statement, if they have one, given the state of the world right now and people having to remove that from their websites. You might not find that, but you might be able to get a feel for how inclusive the school is and how diverse the school is based on the things that they do share on their website. So you are actually going to research 2 schools. One of the schools must be preschool or elementary level, and then the other one must be middle or high school level. So that you get the breadth, not only the breadth of the type of schools, but the breadth of grade levels. Okay, this is all part of what MDE really wants you to know before you get too far into your education program. They want to know that you've really thought about what's available to students and to you as a future educator. Okay, so for your research expectations, you're going to look at the particular school website and their official materials. So every school website has all of the information. They're legally obligated to provide a lot of information on their website. So they have to put in there their curriculum. They have to share data related to behavioral information, expulsions, suspensions, things like that. They have to share what is available in terms of free and reduced lunch, and are there Title I reading teachers available? Is there a music program, an art program? What kind of athletic activities are available? Are there any before school or after school things available? So you're really going to dig into that school website to see what is available to families and to students who attend that school. Okay. You're going to talk about what you believe after you've done all of this research. What do you believe are the benefits of this particular school, and what are the what are the maybe drawbacks of this particular type of school? And most websites include some sort of qualitative comments from families, from teachers, from students, where they'll say, how much they love the school because of A, B, and C. So you'll want to look, as you're looking through the website of the school, you'll want to be looking for any evidence of testimonials from teachers or students or families related to that school. Do they love it? And if they do, what do they love about it? And then a lot of the schools actually have a social media presence too. So if you are on social media and have access to Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, you could actually look for that school on social media to kind of see what else is out there. Some of the websites also include video tours, and that would be great if you could actually go on a video tour of that school. Okay, so you have a lot of research options. The other thing that I want you to make sure you're clear on is, let's say you choose magnet schools. You're going to actually research what a magnet school is, that overarching description of magnet school. So what is the definition of a magnet school? What is the purpose of a magnet school? Then you're going to dig a little bit deeper and find a particular magnet school that is geared towards preschool through elementary age. And then you're going to look for a particular magnet school in middle and high school level. Okay. So overall, you're just going to talk about what a charter school is, or what a magnet school is, or what, a Reggio Emilia school is. And then you're going to actually take it a step further by finding a particular school that meets that criteria. Okay, so now let's dig into the project timeline. So in module 9 is when you're going to, talk to your group, and each of you are going to decide which school type you're going to research. And then you'll start your background research. And then module 10 is where you're going to kind of begin putting your presentation together. You're going to introduce the type of school and the research you've done. What is it? What is its purpose? And then module 10 is where you really want to do your intensive research on your first school that's focused on preschool or elementary age. Then in module 11, you're going to start your research on school number 2, which is your middle high school focus. And then module 12, you're going to actually do a comparison and a reflection and get it kind of ready to present. Module 13 is where you should upload your recorded presentation to the Padlet so your group members can see it and they can ask questions and give you feedback. And then module 14 is where you're, you actually are going to do that 13 and 14. So module 13, you're going to upload your presentation to the Padlet and your group can start watching it and then sharing questions and feedback. I want you to have really a lot of time to engage with it. So between modules 13 and 14 is where you're going to interact on your small group Padlet. Okay. And then module 14 is also where you're going to submit your final draft of your presentation, your recorded presentation. Actually, you don't actually have to submit the recorded presentation because that'll be on the Padlet. I just need the slideshow. And you're not going to do an evaluation document like you did for the educational profile project. I'm actually going to have you give feedback directly on the Padlet. So you won't need to fill out those evaluation forms for this one because you're going to have a discussion about all of the different types of schools right on your small group Padlet. Okay. And again, I will give you more information about this the closer that we get to you needing to do that. So the format is just a slide deck presentation similar to the one that you did for the EPP. And I am providing a template for you. It's on Blackboard and you can use that as a guide. And I'm actually going to walk you through it in just a minute or talk you through it in just a minute because I have it embedded in this presentation. And if there are times where like you have a lot of information, you can add slides as needed. Don't feel like you have to stick to just the slides that are available on the template. You can personalize it. I expect you to personalize it. And if you need to add slides, you absolutely should do that. Also remember, because this is a research project, you're going to need, your final slides are going to need to be a list of your references. If you aren't sure how to format websites in APA 7th edition format, I need you to look that up and make sure that you're citing your sources appropriately in the references. A few tips for success. It's good if you dedicate some time each week to the project. So setting aside an hour or an hour and a half, 2 hours each week to work specifically on this project will help you make headway towards the final project. I would also encourage you to communicate with your group members. That's why we put you in small groups, is so you can actually support one another. Ask questions of them. Ask if you can see what they're doing with their project so far. Do some troubleshooting with one another. That's kind of the purpose of the small group, is so that you have people to go to when you have questions and you aren't sure that you want to direct them to me. Ask your group members. And then if you have questions about this project, make sure you are communicating with me if your group members can't answer the questions that you have. Okay. So set aside time each week to work on this project so that you're not waiting until it's due to get your slides together. That's stressful when that happens. When you do your presentation of your project and then upload it to Padlet, I want you to present your slides, but not every single one, because this project is lengthy. And when you're presenting it to your peers, I want you to just focus on that information of your presentation that's most important for them to know. A lot of it, so you're going to do a bit of a comparison at the beginning of your project where you talk about the kinds of schools you attended, and they don't need that information. So when I talk you through the template, I'll identify which slides that you should focus on when you're actually presenting your project. But just know that's why I'm having you submit the slides as your final project, versus a recording, because the recording doesn't have to include every single slide. Okay, we just want some basic information. So when you present your project, it'll be the name and type of the school, and then information like the student population and staff information about each particular Michigan-based school, some general school information, what kind of curriculum they use, what are the grade levels they cover, do they have a diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging statement, and if they do, what is it? And then after your research, what do you think are the benefits and drawbacks of that particular school or type of school? And then if there are testimonials from families or students about that school, feel free to share those too as either benefits or drawbacks. Okay. So now let me actually show you the template. So the template is downloadable on Blackboard. Okay. But I'm going to actually take you through this way to show you the different, excuse me. I'm going to pause for just a second and try to get this to work for me. So I cannot get Canva to actually open this up on this recording. So I'm actually going to create another recording that really just condenses the expectations of the project to the template itself. So we're going to end this explanation here, and then I will do another video actually showing you the template and talking you through each of the different slides that are required.